Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on board the Marquette. We are very happy to have you with us for a 2-hour and 10-mile round trip on the beautiful and scenic upper dells of the Wisconsin River. How's everybody here on the bottom deck doing? Doing good? Wonderful. Up on the top deck, we can't quite see or hear you, so if you could give a little tap on the floor with your feet. That sounds pretty good. Hopefully the only thunder we hear on today's trip. Now, we do have 2 shore landings for you today. The first one is at the Witch's Gulch, a very beautiful meltwater canyon walk, and the second is at the world-famous Stand Rock, where we will be able to see the amazing jumping German Shepherd of Juneau County. Hope we're excited for that one. But now it is time for some introductions. My name is Ben. I will be your tour guide for today's trip. This is my second year here with the Dells Boat Tours. It's quite the way to spend a summer. I'm a pilot and a guide in the upper and lower Dells, so above and below the dam, and I also work on the jet boats, so that's fun too. This May, I graduated from Ripon College here in Wisconsin with a Bachelor of Arts degree in biology and a minor in chemistry. And now I'm doing what every good recent graduate does and lives in his parents' basement. Yep. It's not a joke, but it's okay, because the rent's pretty cheap, the food's pretty great, and I do have a plan. I'm currently in the application process for dental school, and hopefully that goes well so I don't have to continue living in my parents' basement and telling all my passengers that I live in my parents' basement. That'd be good. Well, that's enough about me. I'll be handing the mic over to your captain for the day. He's going to give you some information about himself, some rules and regulations, and some information about the river we are traveling on. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's Captain Mark.
Hobby farm, now that I have retired from teaching after 31 years as a special education teacher. Run a few beef cattle, so I still keep busy. Well, there are some things to keep in mind while on the river today. First of all, we'd ask that you remain in your seats for the most part. The boat will tend to rock and sway a little bit as we make our way up and down the river, so it's best to stay seated. Now, if you want to stand up and get a quick picture, that's fine. Also, we'd ask, of course, that you do not smoke while on the boat. We do have a place where you can light up at our first shore landing, the Witch's Gulch, if you feel the need. Also, if you have any trash today, please deposit that trash in the trash receptacles at the back of the boat, and we thank you for that. And last of all, we do have life preservers on board. Never had to use them in the history of the boats, and I'm going to go out on a limb and predict we won't have to today, but in the case we do, you should know where they're at. On the lower deck, under the blue benches, you'll find them, and on the upper deck at the very back of the boat, large metal box, you'll find them as well. They're a typical horseshoe type. Just poke your head through the top, wrap the strap around your back, flip it up, and you're good to go. Well, we are traveling on the Wisconsin.
In front of us, you might begin to notice that the Wisconsin River branches off in 2 different directions. Off to the left is a channel known as the Old Riverbed. Now, we're not going to go that way because the water depth is only about 4 feet deep, and as Captain Mark said, we have a draft of 5 feet, which means that there's 5 feet of boat below the water surface. This old riverbed wraps around the island that is directly in front of us, which is known as Blackhawk Island, after that same Native American leader. This island is very special because on this 200-acre island, if you looked hard enough, you could find at least one of every species of tree native to Wisconsin. It is owned and maintained by the University of Wisconsin Extension Program, and they allow various clubs and organizations to use this as an outdoor learning center. Some of those clubs and organizations would be 4-H, Boy Scouts, and Girl Scouts. And if you've ever heard of the Camp Upham Woods, that's located on the other side of Blackhawk Island along the old riverbed. Off to our right, you can see a rock known as Jump Rock. I think there's people standing up there right now. I wonder why it's called Jump Rock. Oh, we got an eagle flying right above us. In front of us, to the right, flying behind us now. Beautiful bald eagle. Now, in front and off to the left, you might see these 2 large rock formations jutting out of Blackhawk Island. Coming up to the left is the first of these. They're very similar in size, shape, and vegetation, and they are known as the Twin Sisters. We here at the Dells Boat Tours have given them names. The first sister, directly to our left, that one is known as Kate, and the second one, a little further up the shore, is her sister, Duplicate. Yes, of course we have names for them if they were brothers. The first one would be Pete, and the second one would be... So the first one would be Pete, and the second one would be George. Do I need to repeat that for you? Coming up on the right is a small inlet known as Chapel Gorge. It gets its name because of the pulpit-shaped rock on the left-hand side of its entrance, and the canopy of trees overhead gives it a very cathedral-like appearance. So once again, that's Chapel Gorge, directly to our right. We used to hold a lot of wedding ceremonies back in Chapel Gorge on those lovely rocky shores. We did have to stop that. There were a lot of complaints coming back. Those marriages were ending in divorce. But honestly, I'm not too surprised because you know what they say, a marriage that starts on the rocks usually ends on the rocks.
They didn't like that joke. I'm here all night. I'm here all fall.
Well, looking around us now, you might begin to notice that the Wisconsin River has gotten a lot narrower, and this section of the river is known as the Narrows. Great at naming stuff here. Now, long before beer, broth, cheese, and the Packers made Wisconsin famous, it was really all about the lumber industry. Up in northern Wisconsin, there were giant stands of old-growth white pines. Lumberjacks would go up there, cut down the trees, roll them out onto the river, and tie them into huge lumber rafts that were sometimes 200 to 300 feet long. They would then ride those lumber rafts down the Wisconsin and Mississippi rivers, sometimes ending up as far south as Louisiana as they were selling off their lumber. If you were to ask one of those raftsmen what was the most dangerous point in his entire journey, almost all of them would have said right here in the Narrows. This is mainly due to the fact that back in those lumber days,